Hello, hello everyone. I'm delighted to be with you this evening. I have a lot to share. Um, we're going to be covering wide topics. First of all, I would like to tell you all insights I will be sharing with you are based on my practical evidence, and in no shape or form they are I'm intending to conflict the official medical guidelines. If anything, I would like to add an extra dimension to how we understand the virus, and how we can tailor make our protection, and how we can also aid our body to recover if you happen to get infected. So how can you speed up your post-viral recovery? So I know many of you are know me already or know my books. But for people who don't know me, very briefly, I want to tell you, so I'm a healer, I'm energy healer. I'm for 5 generations, all women on my mother's side had a healing gift, and I was trained by my mom since I was a little girl how to work with energy. And I dedicated all my life to mastering my energy and mastering my own channel, and also using my skills and healing abilities to help others. I am also an author of 3 books on wellness, and first of all, I'm a practitioner. I spent every day, for years and years, treating patients. So I'm not a professional speaker. I'm a healer, and I talk from my heart. And sometimes I feel that I really need to bring my insights, my knowledge to benefit as many people as possible. And I think when it's regards to the COVID and our immunity, and this situation really prompted me, that reality we're facing at the moment, prompted me to bring my knowledge and my teaching to outside of the boundaries of my practice. So first of all, before we're going to look into the COVID and how the virus affects our body or our energy, I would like to, first of all, very briefly, again, we're not going to have enough time for me to share with you every technique in detail. I'm very much driven to share with you my strategy, my concepts. And once you grasp that, then I believe it will be incredibly helpful for you to use that as a as a grid, as a template in your self-care. First of all, let's look into energy. So again, very briefly, but very important. So our aura, our energy field is generated by the collision of 2 primal energy forces. One is universal energy, which goes from above and flows down, and another one which goes from the ground up, and it's called terrestrial energy. So when this universal energy and terrestrial energy collide, they create an aura. And aura is not a static field, and it's not something what exists independently from your physical body. You are soaked in your aura as the fetus is soaked in amniotic fluid. And in fact, your physical body is also part of the aura. It's just a denser, more visible energy. It's the smallest layer of your auric field. And then there's a multiple other layers. They're not really quite layers, they're currents of energy, but I would loosely call it as a layer. So one layer on top of another, and there's a layer of energy which is responsible for your emotional energy. Another layer is your mental and karmic and so forth. I'm not going to, will not focus on anatomy of the aura in depth today. But I will tell you as a practitioner, so what I'm focusing on when I'm assessing the energy field of my patients. So first of all, I tap into two states of your energy. First of all, your state of reality. How's your energy at the moment? So your current energetic state. And then what also I have to identify, your energy DNA. What is your blueprint of energy? And that will be my point of reference. So when my patients are asking me, oh, Allah, how's my energy compared to other people? It's not, you know, it's irrelevant. The only point of reference we have is how close you get to your potential, to your blueprint, how much you express your energy kind of DNA, your unique energy signature in the current moment. So this is very important. And then, so again, expanding your auric field. Very important to remember that the state of wellness, the state of well-being causes your energy to expand. Actually, probably other way around. When your energy, when your aura expands and kind of radiates outwards, this is when you are aligned to being well. This is when you are connected to the energy of health. And this energy, what I mentioned to you, that auric energy which flows through your body and it goes at particular frequency. And that frequency, again, is very unique. This vibration is very unique and its expression for every single one of us. Just as our fingerprints are unique to us, or our iris, our energy is also uniquely expressed. Sometimes you meet a person whose energy frequency is very similar to yours. And you say, oh, I don't know why, but with that person, I just feel like we're on the same wavelength. And it's very true. This is when your vibrations are matching. And that's what you feel, I find my tribe, my person, that's my kind of family. The same thing with the places and certain buildings. If the energy of the place or of the building, of the home is similar in its vibration to yours and matches your frequency, when you have that kind of energetical chemistry, you feel like you came home. It feels native to you. You say, it's my place. So this is something very also incredibly important for us to remember. So we must, for health, for wellness, be attuned to our authentic frequency and the energy of the environment, people, homes, the work, everything what's around you, as much as possible, has to match and kind of be in that kind of coherency with your truth, with your authentic frequency. So this is, so 3 parameters, just to recap, what we're looking for in healthy energy, in healthy aura. First of all, energy has to expand. It has to be connected to 2 primal energy forces, universal and terrestrial. So you have to be in the flow. And you have to express and be aligned with your authentic frequency. So this information is very relevant to what I'm going to tell you in a minute. Of course, during the lockdown, I did not work, you know, so as all of us, you know, so it was for the first time in my life, I could not see patients. It was incredibly difficult time, but I know we all went through challenges, every single one of us. So naturally, and when I reopened my practice, of course, I was not able to see people who are ill, and I would not do that. But I saw quite a few people who are suffering, who've been suffering for post-viral, post-COVID kind of syndrome. And it's interesting. So I saw people who are suffering from that long-term COVID post-viral kind of, you know, syndrome, and also people who've been completely asymptomatic. They've been diagnosed with COVID, they did not have any symptoms, and they really don't particularly feel that they are going through any kind of recovery. And what I found that regardless if you've been ill, if you've been symptomatically ill with COVID, or if you've been asymptomatic, it's still affects your energy in a particular way. And I noticed I was really kind of taken aback by this realization, because I noticed that that everyone's energy was affected in a very similar way. How? So first of all, what I noticed that my patients, they completely disconnected from that flow. So it's almost like, you know, they kind of lost that alignment with the primal energy forces. So the energy become incredibly, their auric field lost this kind of almost like charges. So been unplugged from these currents, which naturally would cause the energy deficiency. And secondly, what I noticed is I noticed the energy, what I mentioned to you earlier, that healthy aura has to expand. The energy started to really constrict, you know, so it's just going, you know, it would just go into that kind of blocked and becoming smaller, really, really small, just, you know, really gathering into incredibly small and kind of constricted auric kind of bubble. It's almost suffocating. It just goes into incredibly kind of small space. And from again, I would not be able to mention to you in detail about chakras, but chakras are energy centers, and they're depots of energy, just in a nutshell, depots of energy, which use energy for to store energy and also to express our energy, and use for physiological and psycho-emotional kind of function. And the chakra, what I find the mostly affected is the first chakra, and it's located at the perineum. So this chakra, which connects you to terrestrial energy, this is the chakra which is incredibly important for our survival and feeling anchored in the present. So I find out of all chakras that this chakra is mostly affected. And what's interesting, I found that kind of, you know, as I said, just it's this aura, it condenses into the small ball, and it's almost becomes like self-erosive. So it's almost like, you know, it's just it almost feels to me when I treat patients, you know, that their auric field is almost like self-destructing, probably too strong a word, but self-erosive. So that's how it feels. I find that with the right help, like, so when I treat patients, In majority of cases, it is possible to reverse, and actually the energy tend to respond very, very well to it. But we need to know what we're dealing with. So first of all, for practitioners, for a lot of patients, people who are used to taking care of their aura and to their body, I want to highlight, first of all, that what I find, again, I just tell from my subjective opinion, and in no way I'm kind of claiming it's universal truth. So I just want to again to highlight that it's my subjective opinion, that I find that a lot of people focusing more on the heart chakra, this energy center which governs respiratory system. So, but actually, I find that this COVID virus of COVID, it's more systemic problem. And if we look at the medical evidence, which we start gaining more and more, the problem with COVID is not actually the COVID itself. So for a lot of people, it's completely asymptomatic problem. But actually, when we get in medicine and hospitals, we see they see more complications from people whose immune system goes into overdrive. And it's called cytokine storm. So and I just, you know, so basically this viral infection, and many viral infections can trigger this cytokine storms. But what doctors tend to see that COVID virus tend to trigger it more frequently and more severely. And just for you to know that cytokines is a chemicals signaling, it's kind of molecules which signaling to immune system and kind of guiding the immune system where help is needed. I'm of course simplifying this, but just so you understand, I'm not going to go into that kind of in-depth into the biology. But and normally this is kind of course, it's a normal immunological response. This is when the immune system knows the guide where the immune system needs to address the issue and create inflammation as a means of protection. But what they're seeing in the COVID, that this causes cytokine storm, so immunological overreaction. So your immune system starts to attack not only cells which have been hijacked by a virus, but also healthy cells. So you have over-exaggerated immunological response. And this is when we see that people go into the as I said, severe complication, into the organ failure. So this is very, very important aspect. So I think in our energy work and what I see, that energy goes into overdrive. And energy goes, that's why I said to you, it almost becomes self-corrosive. I feel like bodies start energetically from that overprotection. It's suffocating itself. It's eroding itself. And it's just quite interesting to see. So when we know what's happening in biological level, it's incredibly similar to what I observe in my practice, what's happening on an auric level. So what we are controlling is that overreaction. We just make sure that I know that doctors now looking for the solution, how to modify this immunological response. But energetically, we also want to make sure that our energy and our aura is not stuck in that kind of perpetual overreaction. I will go back to this a bit later, but this is something I just wanted to highlight. But again, so when we're focusing to strengthening our aura, we're not, for COVID, we're not focusing on the heart chakra. We're focusing on balancing our immune system, making sure that you're not stuck in a reactive state, in self-erosive state. And just briefly also, I want to mention that, and of course many of you know why, that virus entering, the COVID virus enters the body through the cells, through the kind of epithelial cells in our nasal passages and in our mouth, but cells which have increased number of ACE2 receptors. And this is so the virus kind of latches on to these ACE2 receptors, and then it kind of again hijacks the cell, and then it kind of, you know, that's how it enters to the body. So what I think will be incredibly important for us to remember now for our protection will be very important. We need to really pay attention to our boundaries on an energetical level. And I believe, because I really believe that as a healer, and I've seen, my God, years of practical evidence that our aura is our organ of transformation. As I mentioned to you earlier, because aura has different layers, you cannot just, if you want to boost your immune system, I believe approaching it just on a physiological level, biological level, I don't believe that's sufficient. I think we need to address our immunity and our protection on a multi-dimensional, disciplinary level. So that's why immunity and taking care of our boundaries, psycho-emotional and energetic boundaries, are paramount to our immunity, and how kind of promiscuous and open our aura is to the penetration for invasion. So this is something I wanted to mention in terms of about the virus, kind of a little bit of biology there. But what really taken me aback, that when I realized how much that what's happening to the aura matches what's happening on a biological level, on a cellular level, in response to COVID virus. Now, if I just go back, because again, the purpose of me talking today is just to share with you as much practical guidance as possible. So I will just want to focus now on the practical aspect. So with everything what I described to you earlier, so again, I think in English, you know, there's fantastic expression that the chain is as strong as its weakest link. So once we know what weakest link is, then we can reinforce that. We can make sure we can strengthen that. So if it's challenged, that you can kind of, you know, you have a much better ability to self-regulate, to protect yourself. So what I establish as weakest link. So during the COVID, what I observed after post-COVID, that we lose connection to our inner flow, and aura changes its polarity of energy flow. Instead of expansion, it goes, it constricts and condenses into the small ball. So let's see how we're going to strengthen these weakest links. First of all, the flow. So we need to make sure that to take care of and protect our energy flow. How do we do that? So first of all, I'm going to focus, again, we cannot look at energy without really separating it from the physical body. As I said earlier, our physical body is also a layer of our aura. So, number one, in order to take care of our energy, we need to look after our circadian rhythms. So it's kind of our biological, I wrote here as our biological 24-hour biological clock. These rhythms, they regulate sleep-wake cycle and other biochemical processes. But it helps to kind of just for the flow of biological processes inside your body to run smoothly. And also they play really important part in your immune system. And I cannot tell you reference what research, but I read this very interesting research about that even one night of bad sleep up to, I think, 40 or 70% sabotages our, weakens our immune system. So it's very, very important. And unfortunately, as a practitioner, what I notice, and I'm sure many practitioners would agree with me, that as soon as we are challenged and we're going through difficult time and stress, that we somehow doing something absolutely the opposite what we're supposed to do. We start abusing our physical body, going to bed late, I don't know, stop exercising, eating junk, drinking too much, and just going into this kind of completely self-distraction mode. So we need to, catch ourselves if we're doing that, and really pay attention to this. So I know a lot of people now, when they're trying to strengthen their immune system, they start immediately just taking a lot of vitamins. Number one, I find that we need to, and of course vitamins very important, but circadian rhythms, incredibly important. Take care of your sleep. So, and what's important, that to go to bed at least a couple of hours before the midnight. Some people, so you need to have a good 7-8 hours sleep. Some people believe that if they don't, if they go to bed late, like let's say at midnight or 1 a.m., and they kind of wake up later at 10 or 11 a.m., it will be kind of, they will counterbalance that. It doesn't work like this. What's important is to go to bed before the midnight. This is what's important, this is crucial. Circadian rhythms are controlled by melatonin. It's a hormone, and you need to take care of the melatonin as well, and you need to eat foods which are rich of microelements or and nutrients which are acting as a precursors for melatonin. So tryptophan is one of them, and you find it, a lot of it in shellfish, just so you know, and keep that kind of in mind. Shellfish, phytomelatonin is found in strawberries and legumes, in pistachio nuts, in mushrooms, so keep that in mind. So I think it will be quite important to add that extra into your diet. And of course reduce the exposure to the blue light before going, at least a couple of hours before going to bed. I know it's kind of difficult for a lot of people, but we really have to try to do that. Or at least put your screen on a nighttime screen, so at least it's reduces the brightness of the screen. Another gland I would like to talk is amygdala. Again, I'll talk, it's a tiny gland in our brain which we can view as our inner alarm system. And it generates the biological response to fear and anxiety. Now, I find that when you are in a state, and I think the majority of doctors and practitioners would agree, that when you're feeling fearful and anxious, and especially chronically so, it severely affects your immune system. And as a healer, I would want to add that the energy signature or vibrations of the fear resonate with the energy of the disease. You attract disease energetically through fear and anxiety. And a lot of people are, I find, especially for the past months, we are chronically kind of soaked in fear, and it becomes kind of default, or anxious state. It becomes default state. Really have to take care of that. And also remember what I said earlier, that our first chakra suffers tremendously during the COVID virus infection and in post-viral recovery. And fear prevents you from being grounded. In fact, you cannot be grounded if you're fearful. It's contradiction in terms. So in order to combat your or boost your immune system, and to be grounded and be really connected to the present moment, we need to address the problem of the fear. You know, so, and especially anxiety, because anxiety is a reaction to imaginary dangers. And also pay attention that at the moment, I think we're witnessing another epidemic is fear, and fear is contagious. There's a kind of really, it's from our kind of herd mentality. It's just, you know, it's incredibly, we become infected by each other's fear. And that's why also, I mean, I know many of you read my book, All New Energy, my new book, and that I wrote about energy vampires. And I said, you become energy vampire when you disconnect from two primal forces. And that's when you start acting as a vampire, taking energy from other people. And there's some people, I described in the book various types of energy vampires, but there's a one which addicted to generating fear, not only in their life, but also in others. So this is the people who are going to be all the time talking to you about doomsday scenarios, who are going to be dwelling on negative news all the time, you know, so they will be just, stop that. Do not go to that frequency. Just be, you know, of course, always with kindness and this, but do not, you're not showing empathy by going to that low level with these people, and also start wallowing in negative and fearful scenarios. Stop that. You can say, okay, I do not want to talk about it. So please, you know, take care of yourself, how much energy of fear you allow to come through to your auric field. Be also news. I mean, press is acting, media is acting as energy vampire all the time, exploiting our biological tendency of negative bias. I think many of you know, and recently I talked about it, that, you know, biologically we have this negative bias, so our mind registers negative information first. And it was important for our survival. And so we have this kind of asymmetry of the focus. So focusing on the negative over positive. And we need to know about that. And all the time, not to allow ourselves to be kind of possessed by this negative bias, because it stops us, it shields us from noticing positivity. That's why practicing of gratitude is incredibly important, to a state of appreciation, conscious effort of gratitude, being grateful for what you have. It's incredibly important methods for counterbalancing negative bias. But again, just wanted to mention about media. Read factual news, but be careful what you have playing on your TV, on the background all the time, because you might be not consciously listening to it, but your energy is responding to the negativity of the news. And also don't forget, you know, so that unfortunately it's only negative news, mainly it's negative news which makes into the press. So just, you know, so be mindful of that, please. And so another thing what I just want to make sure, yes, so what I mentioned to you earlier about that corrosive, that energy goes into that kind of condenses into the ball of energy. You need to, how to explain it? What you need to focus on at the moment is creating space within yourself. So your practice, adjust your practice, your exercise, your yoga practice, your breathing techniques on expansion. You need to feel that you have a space in your body inside, your inner space must feel spacious. So again, you are taking care of that link, making sure if your body is challenged by the virus, that you invested enough energy and focus into your expansion. So when you practice your yoga, speak to your yoga teacher. Look at the asanas, which causes you expand. Breathing, expanding, exercise, again, all about expansion. I see sometimes people who are trying to really strengthen their body and going into that overkill with their exercise. Energetically, it actually, sometimes it achieves the opposite. It makes your energy more dense. So do pay attention that you are really not pushing, not kind of over stressing your system. And the one thing also I want to, kind of ask that question to yourself, why do you want to look after your immune system? And if you're honest, a lot of people say, okay, I want to look after my immune system and after my wellness now because I'm scared of illness. I'm scared of complications. So again, that it's a fear, it's fear which drives you towards, or kind of, become the impulse, driving impulse behind your self-care. It would not lead to the good outcome. It will be limited outcome. You always have to dedicate to your wellness and to self-care, not from the place of fear, but from the place of self-love. So I want to take care of myself because I deserve it, because I want to express my best self, because I choose to be invincible, because it feels good, it empowers me, it enables me to live the best life. These are the affirmations you need to, or this kind of energy, these kind of statements, which should wire and the kind of propel your intent for self-care, not fear. Again, please take care, make sure that you are, your drivers are, you're not driven by fear, but by self-love and self-worth. So again, if you just go back to that expansion, so just making sure that all your practice is focusing on expansion, and also there's something else I wanted to mention about expansion that's very, very important, and I want to make sure I don't forget it. Yes, that kind of in a book, in Honor Your Energy, and many of you know that I wrote about that. When you become your inner troll, you know what I talked to you earlier, because when energy becomes, it's almost becomes self-erosive, that in post-COVID recovery, and check how your relationship with yourself on psycho-emotional level. How do you talk about yourself? In the book, I talk about how we become our inner trolls, how we become the worst trolls for our energy. And so make sure with your thoughts, you're not kind of trolling yourself. Check how you talk. How do you treat yourself? How, when you are calling someone, do you start by, oh, it's only me? That kind of, when you say that statement, oh, it's only me, immediately your aura goes into contention. It's me. Hello. So own your space. Again, you need to, in order to strengthen that link, you have to accept that you have the right, you deserve of being here, to have space, and you deserve to occupy space. And it might sound very obvious to you, but certainly in my practice, I encountered so many people, and we really, really honest with ourselves. So many of us who feel that, oh, it's only me, I'm just on the background, don't mind me. So that kind of, feeling that, making yourself smaller, that energetically, that does not help your immune system. This creates that erosive energy, self, kind of when you are kind of almost like eating yourself from within. So catch yourself how you talk. I'm telling you the challenge. Why don't you, like, for 1 week, commit to just 1 week of not saying anything negative about yourself, detrimental, belittling. Catch yourself you know, stop yourself when you start kind of, you know, saying something negative about yourself, even to yourself. Stop yourself in doing that, and substitute it with a more positive affirmation. So during the day, you know, now again, if we're focusing on the self-care and immunity, boosting our immune system during the day, do energy audit during the day. Check yourself, few moments, check yourself. Okay, how's my posture? Check. How's my breathing? How's, you know, so check, you know, what am I wallowing in particular? Am I dwelling in a negativity? Oh, what am I listening on the background? Do this energy audit throughout the day. Also, what I wanted to mention to you, just touch a little bit on the physical, about vitamin B. Vitamin B is very, very important it has a direct effect on energy generation in the cell. Vitamin B is actually not one vitamin, it's a complex of 6 or 7 different types of vitamin Bs. I'm not a huge fan of vitamins. I believe that we really need to try to get as much nutrients from our food. Just to mention that vitamin B, which, as I said, very, very incredibly important for our immune cells, and also vitamin B, very helpful in regulating that immunological kind of has this it modulates your immunological response, so it prevents your energy going to overdrive, on your immune system to go into overdrive. So make sure that, but vitamin B is water soluble, so it means that you have to have it cannot be accumulated in your body, so it means that you have to have it, eat it every day. Have oats every day, rye. So this is something very, very rich in vitamin B. But make sure that when you're cooking porridge, you don't boil it. You soak oats overnight. Again, the recipe in my book Energy Secrets. But you soak it overnight and in water, the oats, and then in the morning adding a bit of more water and just warm it up without bringing to boil. So, and also honey. Honey has so many microelements which are so important for immune system. I'm a huge fan of honey. But when you buy honey, and I know a lot of people buying honey now, two things I want to, because it's a common mistake. So when you buy honey, make sure it's kind of medically graded honey. So it's anything with potency above 10 plus. It has to be raw honey and organic honey. And the more the more multi kind of floral it is, the more the better this the better, more potent honey is. But also make sure that you do not add honey into boiled water. So I noticed that some people they buy very expensive honey, top quality, but then they add it into boiled water and it's completely gets destroyed. So the good properties get destroyed. So in order to preserve its therapeutic qualities, you have to add it into warm water and have it on an empty stomach 30 minutes before your breakfast. So every day I would strongly recommend to have that. But again, make sure that take care of the quality of the honey. And again, lastly about biological vitamin D. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of written at the moment in the press about importance of vitamin D. People start taking it in vast quantities. I strongly believe that we need to prevent vitamin D toxicity because it's get accumulated in the body. So I would not recommend more than 1,000 IUs a day, and I believe it's exactly matches what NHS is recommending also. So make sure that you are not, with all your best intents, that you're not overloading your system. So and lastly, just so want to make sure. Gosh, I don't have so much to talk to you about, but we're running out of time. So again, in terms of your vibrations, don't forget, what I said to you about that we should not troll ourselves and be very kind in how we talk to ourselves. Don't forget that you are affirming not just through the conscious statements, but also subconscious one. And actually, I have to share with you. I mean, yesterday, I noticed, it was just I was on the tube, and there was a guy who had a face mask on, and on his mask it was written in a big statement, I can't breathe. And I know he's kind of wanted to show support, of course, to the Black Lives Matters movement. But I don't particularly believe that it's a good idea to put these kind of statements on a face mask, because our subliminal mind does not understand irony and kind of hidden meanings. So we have to be careful about how we what kind of statements we look, we are what we're saying after the word I am. So take care of that, please. Lastly, what I would like to mention about in terms of the energy, for the to balance the energy, I'm going to give you, I mean, meditation is of course important. People who practice yoga, alternate nose breathing, when you are, again, I don't have time to show it. You can find it, and I'm sure you can Google it. Alternate nostril breathing, very good at connecting you to the energy channel of now, of the present. Again, it helps you to stay grounded. So take care, practice that daily. And in terms of the energy practice, I'm going to share with you some exercise, technique, which involves Chinese, or the acupressure point. It's called Feng Fu, and the way to find it, actually, people who have my book, Energy Secrets, I describe that in detail, but for people who don't, I'll just briefly explain to you. So it's an ice cube therapy. So what you do is you find the spot. This Feng Fu is, if you run your fingers along your neck vertebrae, and you find this little kind of groove, which just where the first vertebra meets the skull, you'll find it. If you can't find it, if you tilt your head slightly back, you can find that kind of little groove. So this is the point, which when we are stimulating this point, it has a direct effect not only on our immune system, but also it helps us to create a better resilience and connect, and to help us to restore that that inner flow of energy. Now, what you do, you take ice cube and you place it at the top of your, so into that point. You can use what I use, that just, you can use the band, you use for the hair band, and you just, so it helps to kind of fix it in that place. So you put that ice cube into that groove, and then on your coccyx, you put hot water bottle, and you stay like this for 20 minutes. And first week you do it twice, second week you do it once, and then you can twice a day. The next week you do it once a day, and then once a week. But simple technique like this would have a really beneficial effect on your resilience, on your immunity, and also in protecting that inner flow. So this is what I have time to share with you, but I really wish you from my heart to be well, to stay always well, and always feel that, and trust your body. Trust that you are enough, and disconnect from the fear, and embrace, that notion that you're big, you're auric. Allow your aura to breathe, allow your aura to expand, and stay in the flow. And only when you are connected to the present, you can be you can be a master. Because when you're not connected to the present, you cannot be a master. You are a victim. And lastly, I think what's, what matters really in life is just what you're made of. At the same time, boiling water hardens the eggs and it softens potatoes. So it depends what kind of energy you carry within yourself. It will predetermine how you react to the challenges. So stay agile, stay light, and keep on expanding. So I wish you all the best. I'm sending you lots of light. I hope you find it beneficial, helpful, and all the very best. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.